Listen up. So, what we're going to do, we are going to start talking about integers today. Okay, so before I get into this lesson, we are going to do like an introduction activity on how to number a number line with integers. Okay? So, every group has one of these papers. Okay, and then you have a paper towel at your desk. I'm going to pass out some paintbrushes. Okay? And let me show you what you're going to do. So, there may get a little paint on the table, and it's not the end of the world. Please do not paint each other. Okay, so listen, this is very important because if you don't listen, it will not work. What you're going to do is you're going to paint, I have a big paintbrush, but you are going to paint a horizontal number line, okay, that starts in the middle of your paper, and it starts with 0. Are you all looking at this?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to number it to 4, okay? Then you want to make sure you keep your paint pretty wet, because once you have it numbered to 4, you're then going to fold your paper in half at the 0. Okay, you're going to fold your paper in half at the 0, okay, and you're going to press real good, like this. And then you're going to open it back up, okay? And when you open it back up, you're going to see how you number a number line with integers, okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a few minutes to do this, okay? All right, so now we know how to number the number line with integers now, right? That's what you just did. So if I have a number line, and this is 0, okay, this isn't seeing me. I gotta adjust this a little bit. Okay, and we number it 1, 2, 3. If we fold that over like you did with your paint, what number is this?
-1.
-1, -2, -3. Good. Okay? We're going to use this number line in just a minute. So, what is an integer? Have you guys ever heard the word integer before today?
No.
Before today?
No.
What do you think it is, Nathaniel?
Like, just like,
He has no idea, but he's heard it. That's right.
I heard the word, I just
Okay.
don't know.
So when you hear the word integer, essentially what you need to think of are just whole numbers. Okay? So integers are a set of whole numbers, okay, and their opposites. Okay, so integers are a set of whole numbers and their opposites. So, let me ask you this. Is 1 an integer? Is it a whole number?
Yeah.
Then it's an integer. Okay? Is -3 an integer? Yeah. Is it a whole number?
Yes.
Yes. So it's an integer. Okay? Because it's a set of whole numbers and their opposites. And we'll talk about opposites in just a second. Is -70 an integer?
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
It's a whole number.
It's a whole number. Okay? Is 7.5 an integer?
No.
Why not?
No.
It's not a whole number. Okay? Is -7.2 an integer?
No.
Why not?
It's not a whole number.
Because it's not a whole number. Okay? It's whole numbers and their opposites. Now, whole numbers that are greater than 0 are called your positive integers. Okay? And whole numbers that are less than 0 are called your negative integers. Good. Okay? So is -7 an integer?
Yes.
Yes. Is -11 3/4 an integer?
Yeah. Yes. No.
Is a -11 3/4 a whole number?
No.
No, so it's not an integer.
Negative.
Okay? Now, here, the integer 0. So 0 is an integer, okay? But it is neither positive nor negative.
It's in the middle.
It's just 0. It is an integer, but it's neither positive nor negative. And it goes along with this because 0 is neither prime nor composite, right? Remember what a prime number is?
Yeah.
What?
If it's a number that doesn't know anything else by one in itself.
It's a number where only one in itself can go into it. Okay, it can only be divided by one in itself. So integer or 0 is an integer, but it's neither positive nor negative. Now, two integers are opposites if they are the same distance from 0, but on the opposite sides of 0. Okay? So two numbers are considered opposites if they're the same distance from 0, but just on different sides of 0. So I'm going to show you an example. Look at our number line we drew up here. Okay? If I have 3, what is its opposite? Levi? Negative 3. Okay? These are opposites because they're the same distance from 0, right? 3 is 3 away from 0. Negative 3 is 3 away from 0. And they're on opposite sides of 0. Okay? So, if I say negative 1, what is its opposite?
1.
Positive 1. Right? Does that make sense? Pretty easy, right? Okay? Good. Now, positive integers can be written with or without the positive sign. So, for example, if I have the integer 20, you can write it as positive 20 like that, but do we usually do that? No. Okay, we would just write it as 20. Either way, it's fine. But this is like the norm. This is what we typically do. Okay? Now, something to talk about with opposites. Okay? If I go back to this, I'm going to use 3 and negative 3. Whenever you add a number and its opposite together, it's always going to equal 0. So let me show you. Okay? Let's say I am on an elevator. Okay? So right here is our ground floor. Like where we go in. The hotel. We're going to be in a hotel. Okay? So we're on the ground floor, which is represented by the integer 0. Okay? We go and we check in, and they're like, oh, great, you are actually going to stay on the 7th floor. So you get into your elevator, and you climb up to the 7th floor. Right? The 7th floor, is that represented by positive 7 or negative 7?
Positive.
Positive 7, right? Okay, well you get all settled in your room and then you're like, oh man, I forgot something in the car. So you get to go back down to the ground floor, right? Mm-hmm. How many floors you go down?
7.
Yeah. So now I go back down 7 floors, which is represented by positive 7 or negative 7?
Neither.
Negative
Oh,
7,
negative.
right? So I went up 7, and then I went down 7. Where do I end up?
Down 4.
Which is 0.
They sometimes call
Okay.
it down 0.
So whenever you have a number and its opposite, it's always going to equal 0. Okay? Now, I want you to draw this picture right here. Read this situation. It says, draw a picture of what the problem is describing below. Sam dove to a depth of 12 feet below the surface of the water, while Christy flew in a plane 300 feet, this should say above, sea level. Draw that picture. Draw it all in one picture for me.
What?
Draw what this says. Sam dove to a depth of 12 feet below the surface of the water, while Christy flew in a plane 300 feet above sea level.
So just draw that picture right
Draw that picture. Then we're going to talk about it.
Alright, that's easy.
Okay?
Alright.
Okay, so let's look. So if it says that Sam dove, does that mean he's going up or down?
Down.
Down, right? Okay. So here's my little Sam diving. Okay, he just got his little flippers on. Those are some big flippers. So he's diving, and he is how many feet?
12.
12 feet below the surface of the water. So is that positive 12 or negative 12?
Negative 12.
Negative. Okay? Then it says, while Christy
It's 300 feet above.
flew in a plane, kind of looks like a submarine.
In the air.
My plane first hour was a lot better.
Looks
Kind of looks like a bird, doesn't it? Okay?
Or a
So
fish.
Christy was in the plane how far above sea level?
300 feet.
300 feet. So is that represented by positive 300 or negative?
Positive. Way
Positive. Okay? So in this case, this surface of the water or sea level is represented by what number? 0. Right? So sea level or the surface of your water is represented by the integer 0.
Yeah.
And if he dove 12 feet below the surface, it's negative 12. Or if she's flying 300 feet above the surface of the water,
It's positive.
it's 300. Now, to take this one step further, what's the distance between Christy and Sam?
312.
312, right?
Yeah.
Because if this is 0, she's 300 feet above 0. Okay? So that's 300. And if he is 12 feet below 0, he's 12 away from 0. Right? So their distance together, you would just add those together, and they would be 312 feet apart. Christy and Sam. Okay? Now, one thing that you need to know how to do with integers, a skill that you need to know, is if you're given a situation, you've got to be able to identify the integer that goes with that situation. Okay? For example, like this. If he dove 12 feet below sea level, my integer is negative 12. Okay? So if I give you a couple examples like this, let's say Cameron owes me $15. What's the integer that represents that situation? If you owe somebody money, is that negative 15 or positive 15?
Negative.
Negative 15. So that would be the integer that represents that situation. Okay? So if I say the football player gained 20 yards, what's the integer that represents that situation?
Positive 20.
Positive 20. Okay? Let's say he got a 5-yard penalty. Negative 5. Let's say if I deposit $70 in my bank account.
Positive 75.
Positive 70 because you're putting money in your account. Well, what if I withdraw $100?
Negative 100.
Negative 100. Okay? What if, let's see, I got one right here. If gas freezes 40 degrees below 0.
Negative 0. Or negative 40.
Negative 40. Okay? The game contestant earned 250 points.
Positive 250.
Positive 250. Okay? All right. So what I want you guys to do on the back of your paper, very quickly, write your own situation like that. Okay? And then we're going to read them as a class and identify our integer. So just take a couple minutes. Okay?